Welcome to Money Music, where you will learn about the big money in vinyl records. I'm John Marshall, also known as Mighty John, the record guy from moneymusic.com. With me, the man, the legend. He knows all the rock and roll stars, my friend and legendary lawyer, Derry Rundlett.
Well, thank you very much. Welcome to be here.
Glad you're here. Now, Derry, how did you get the name Derry? I know your real name is Ellsworth.
Ellsworth T. Rundlett III. Well, they say it's possibly from the French word derrière, which means behind, not rear end, but behind because I was the last one to be born and therefore behind everybody else. But
that's a good story.
I'm not sure it's the true story, but that's what
All right, now at the end of the show, we will tell you how you can get the values for every Elvis and every Beatles record absolutely free. No purchase necessary. Now, there's over 2,000 Elvis and Beatle records on the list. Now, this podcast is not just for record collectors, but for everyone who seeks out treasures at yard sales, flea markets, estate sales, and thrift stores. In your own garage, Derry, and in your parents' records, they don't know what they got. Now, plus, at the end of today's countdown, we're going to tell you how you can get free record appraisals from me. We'll answer the emails from our listeners, too. On today's countdown of 20 records worth up to $100 or more, number one on our list is a record produced by Sam Phillips, who discovered Elvis. This record is worth $2,500.
Oh, my goodness.
Not Elvis, but Sam did well with this guy. Now, we discussed in the last podcast, you said that David Porter wrote Soul Man.
Yes.
And right. I said Isaac Hayes.
It was both of them, right?
Right, Soul Man. Well, perhaps. But in 1996, Isaac Hayes was upset with which presidential candidate?
Oh, my God, 96. That would be somebody that used his song. I'm going to get 96. Who would that be? Not Reagan. Forget. Go ahead.
Well, you're right. I mean, he wrote this.
Oh, was it W. Bush?
No. He wrote it for Sam and Dave and requested Bob Dole supporters to quit using the phrase, "I'm a Dole man."
Oh, my goodness. Dole. Yes, of course. Oh, my God. Yeah.
Now, the Sam and Dave album, Soul Men, released on Stax Records, can fetch $50 today. Isaac Hayes' first single, CC Rider, on Youngstown Records, now worth up to $100. As far as we know, Bob Dole had no vinyl record, just a political one, and we thank him for his service.
And we also know that Isaac had a gold Cadillac. Did you know that?
Yes. Yeah. And you've got a gold Mustang.
It's white, man.
White gold. What's the difference? Now, Annette's big hit, Tall Paul, was about her boyfriend.
Oh, yes. Oh, you're talking about my dear, wonderful Annette Funicello.
And who's the boyfriend?
Would be Paul Anka.
And what superstar did a parody of Tall Paul called Short Mort?
Oh, my God, I do not know that one.
In 1958, Annette had a big hit with Tall Paul. It was during the time that she had a crush on Paul Anka. A year later, Carole King released the single Short Mort, which was a parody of Annette's hit. But Paul Anka wasn't all that tall, so maybe it should have been Short Paul.
That's right. Paul Anka's about 5'7", I think.
But, of course, that wouldn't have sounded so good. Tall Paul, released on Disneyland Records, is worth up to $25, while Carole King's Short Mort, released on RCA, can get you $100 today.
Oh, no kidding. Carole King. Oh, she was one heck of a writer, one heck of a performer.
Absolutely. Now, at what hotel, Derry, did John and Yoko use for their bid-in for peace, as mentioned in the single The Ballad of John and Yoko?
The Amsterdam Hilton.
You got it. You're on a roll right from the bat. I think we could keep track, see what your percentage is.
My brain is full of that unnecessary knowledge.
The Ballad of John and Yoko was released by Apple Records in 1969. It was about the notorious early marriage of the two controversial figures with their bid-in for peace at the Amsterdam Hilton. The record is noteworthy for the fact that the only Beatles playing on the 45 are Paul McCartney and John Lennon. George Harrison and Ringo Starr are not included.
I didn't know that.
The single, with its picture sleeve, is worth up to $150 today.
Oh, wow. There you go.
All right, Derry, who starred in the TV Western Have Gun, Will Travel?
That would be, oh my God, it's my favorite Western. That would be Richard Boone, Paladin. That is my favorite Western of all time, and he is my favorite cowboy, other than the guy that's on Yellowstone right now. But yeah, that would be Paladin.
Paladin, Paladin.
Where did you go?
Paladin, Paladin, so far from home.
From home.
We have too much time on our hands. Now, Have Guitar Will Travel by Bo Diddley was the third album by the rock and roll icon. A year earlier, in 1958, the Dwayne Eddy album Have Twangy Guitar Will Travel was released. Both Bo and Dwayne used the titles to capitalize on the popular Western Have Gun Will Travel. The Dwayne Eddy album, released by Jamie Records, now worth up to $50. But Bo Diddley's album on Checker Records, up to $150 today.
2 comments. Number one of my records that I brought in today is Dwayne Eddy.
Ooh.
And secondly, when I first started practicing law, my business card said, have law book, will travel.
And you needed a lot of practice when you
I did.
practiced law. Okay.
I'm still practicing.
Do you remember the actress Joey Heatherton?
Yes, I sure do.
She a friend of yours like Brenda Lee and all the rest?
I didn't get
all
to
the
know
other
her
women
personally, but
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, actress Joey Heatherton was a popular guest on many TV variety shows, including The Perry Como Show and The Dean Martin Show. She was also a favorite of GIs overseas as part of Bob Hope's USO tours.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Like her acting career, her recording career was pretty meager, but there's no denying she was a lot to look at.
Yes.
In 1966, Decca Records released the Joey Heatherton single, When You Call Me Baby, now worth up to $125 and up to $150 for the picture sleeve.
With her on the cover.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. There you go.
Who sang the 1967 hit Itchycoo Park?
Small Faces.
Very good. Small Faces formed in London in 1965. By 1967, they had their biggest hit with Itchycoo Park. It was a great example of psychedelic rock and roll when it hit the top 20 on Billboard, and is worth up to $20. But in 1968, Small Faces released the album Ogden's Not Gone Flake. The title was taken from a brand of tobacco made in Liverpool. An original copy of the album, now up to $200.
Whoa, there you go.
Now, this Trump supporter was once married to the sexy Pamela Anderson. Starting out as a rapper, his music progressed more toward rock and country.
My goodness, I do not know that one.
Mr. Dino, do you know?
I have no Kid Rock.
Yes.
Very
good.
no,
Yeah.
Listen, he's going to trump me out.
Well,
every time.
we're gonna, one of these days we're going to see who does best on this. Bob Ritchie, better known by the name Kid Rock, once married to the sexy Pamela Anderson. Kid Rock has had his share of run-ins with the law, as well as his share of hits. His arrest may have given him some street creds as a rapper. In 1993, Continuum Records released Kid Rock's album, The Polyfuse Method. A copy can get you $200 today. 20 Flight Rock was written and first recorded by rock and roll pioneer Eddie Cochran.
Oh.
And featured in the movie whose title was that of a Little Richard's classic. The title of that movie, the same as a Little Richard's classic.
Tutti Frutti.
No.
What?
The Girl Can't Help It.
Oh, The Girl Can't.
Can't Help It.
That's right. I remember that. Right. Yeah, sure.
Now, 20 Flight Rock was a classic piece of the rockabilly sound that was so popular in the 50s when 15-year-old Paul McCartney auditioned to join John Lennon's Quarrymen.
Yes.
The song he chose was 20 Flight Rock. The 45 by Eddie Cochran, released on Liberty Records, now worth up to $250.
There you go.
In 1968, what group had a hit with the single Cowboys to Girls?
Oh, the OJs.
No.
Spinners.
No.
What?
Philadelphia soul came to prominence in the 60s and 70s. It was a smoother sound, different from the more commercial styles coming from Motown and Stax. Among the groups to capitalize on Philadelphia soul were the Intruders.
Oh, yes. There you go.
In 1968, they hit the top 10 with the million-selling single Cowboys to Girls.
Oh, good song, too.
The single worth no more than $20, but the Intruders' debut album, The Intruders Are Together, now up to $250. What psychedelic superstar of the 60s had an album called The Cry of Love?
Oh, superstar of the 60s.
Psychedelic superstar.
Yeah, no clue.
We will say Jimi Hendrix.
I almost said Jimi
Yeah,
Hendrix.
you
I
know-
should have said it.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
my God. I thought you'd laugh at me if I said Jimi Hendrix. Oh, my God.
I was laughing at you anyway, but you might as well have said it.
I swear to I should just say it.
The Cry
Let you
of
laugh at me.
The Cry of Love was the first album released after the death of Jimi Hendrix. The album climbed to number 3 on the Billboard album chart. The album includes Belly Button Window, which was the last song recorded by Hendrix. Released on Reprise Record, the value depends on the color of the record label. If the label is brown, the value is no more than $15. But if the label is orange, the value jumps to $400.
By the way, I want to mention Jimi Hendrix because the doctor who performed my cataract surgery, one of the best in New England, he was actually at Woodstock, the original Woodstock, at age 15. And you go into his office, it's not diplomas from all over the country, is covers of Jimi Hendrix records. That was his favorite artist.
Very good, yes. Now, let's see. Here's a question just for you, Derry.
Okay, I'm ready.
Can a man committed to a mental institution for attacking his mother with a knife have an album worth $400?
So that would be Anthony Perkins in Bates Motel. I don't know.
Among those who are not all that well known but have what could be called a cult following is Wildman Fisher.
Oh, never would have guessed that one.
Discovered by Frank Zappa, Fisher had been committed to a mental institution when he was 16 for attacking his mom with a knife. By his mid-20s, he had become an underground favorite with concertgoers. In 1969, Zappa's record company, Bizarre, released the album An Evening with Wildman Fisher, a copy worth up to $400 today.
There you go.
Oh, man, anybody can have a hit.
That story I never heard of. I love it because you come up with stories I never heard of before.
Now, this mega hitmaker of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, because of his growing addiction to cocaine, which exacerbated his psychological struggles and deeply indebted to the Internal Revenue Service, fled the U.S., living in exile in England and Belgium.
Boy, no clue.
That would be Marvin Gaye.
Oh, my goodness. Marvin Gaye, yes.
That Stubborn Kind of Fella was the second album by Marvin Gaye and showed a departure from the jazz and blues influence of his first records. Motown was realizing that the money and success was going to emerge from a younger market, so they had him start doing those top 40 hits. Two of his biggest hits from the second album, Hitchhike and Pride and Joy, they're on that album, That Stubborn Kind of Fella.
Both good songs.
The 45 worth about $40, but the album could get you $500 today.
Oh.
That Stubborn Kind of Fella.
Marvin Gaye.
Who sang the song, Don't the Girls All Get Prettier at Closing Time?
Willie Nelson.
Well, you're kind of close.
Waylon Jennings.
Cousin of Jerry Lee.
Oh, this would be, what's his name? The
What's his name? That's your favorite response.
Yeah, I know, but the guy that has the...
Yeah.
not Swaggart, but the other guy. Yeah, go ahead.
Mickey Gilley.
Mickey Gilley, yes.
Right on the tip of your tongue.
Well, yeah, because he has the famous bar, Mickey Gilley's bar, and we all know the three cousins, Jimmy Swaggart, Jerry Lee, and Mickey Gilley, yeah.
Mickey Gilley spent years on the country charts with hits like Room Full of Roses and Don't the Girls All Get Prettier at Closing Time. He has had 17 #1 singles on the country charts. Mickey Gilley is also known as the one-time owner of the world's largest honky-tonk. In 1964, he released the album Lonely Wine. A copy can get you $500 today.
And you know that song title, being 78 years old, 79 in a few days, I recall in my early days that just about every man I knew was able to sing that song. My roommate used to come home with some very gorgeous people, but he also would come home with some of the ugliest people.
Don't the girls all get prettier at closing time? And you probably get a lot better looking yourself at closing time.
Well, yeah, I make sure they drink a lot when they go out with me.
Elton John was Captain Fantastic. Who was the brown dirt cowboy?
Oh, that would be, what's his name?
Yes, what's his name?
Bernie Taupin.
Yeah, very good. Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy debuted at #1 in 1975. This was a first, not just for Elton John, but for anyone. The captain was Elton, and lyricist Bernie Taupin was the Brown Dirt Cowboy. The theme of the album captured their early struggles in pursuing a musical career. The album, released on MCA, is worth up to $15 on black vinyl, but a brown vinyl copy can get you $500 today.
A brown vinyl record.
I found one in Los Angeles, as a matter of fact.
I've never seen a brown
Vinyl copy of the Brown Dirt Cowboy album.
But that's why it's brown, because of the Brown Dirt Cowboy?
Yeah, little tribute to old Bernie.
Boy,
Yeah.
I've never seen a brown record before. Seen red, blue, whatever. Never seen a brown one.
What Hit by the Ronettes inspired Brian Wilson to write the Beach Boys classic Don't Worry Baby?
Be My Baby.
Very good. Phil Spector produced a lot of great acts such as the Ronettes with lead singer Veronica Bennett, better known as Ronnie Spector. Their biggest hit, Be My Baby, a true rock and roll classic, which you can outsell for $50. It even inspired Beach Boy Brian Wilson to write his hit, Don't Worry Baby. The album, presenting the fabulous Ronettes, released on Phillies Records, now worth up to $600.
And as I've said in one of the last shows, when you mentioned Ronnie Spector, saw her about a year before she passed away on the Malt Shop Cruise. One wonderful and beautiful performer and one beautiful person. Her interviews about her marriage to Spector, I mean, he was, well, we all know what he was.
He needed a lawyer like Derry Rundlett.
Yeah, well, no, I'll tell you, she was just a real sweetheart of a person.
Yep. Now, what not so well-known album by the Beatles was certified gold on its first week of release in 1964?
Meet the Beatles.
No.
Introducing the Beatles.
No.
Hard Day's Night.
No.
I'm done.
All right, it's called The Beatles Story.
Oh.
A double album on Capitol. It's really a documentary featuring interviews, press conferences, snippets of original or orchestral versions of Beatles songs. The album was essentially an attempt to capitalize on public demand for more Beatles. Although it sold more modestly than their other albums, in its first week of release, it was certified gold. An original mono copy, up to $300.
What?
An original stereo copy, up to $800 today.
So you people that saved all those Beatle records over the years, you wouldn't have thrown them away. You're going to go check those records, and you're going to find some of them are worth a lot of money.
A lot of money. Now, Derry, before Jan and Dean were a hit-making duo, Jan sang with Arnie Ginsberg.
Ginsberg.
They had a hit about a real-life stripper. What's the hit? Who's the stripper?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, boy. What a stripper. I don't know.
Jenny Lee. Jenny Lee. You don't remember that song?
I don't.
Oh, goodness.
I don't remember Jenny Lee.
You remember the strippers, Jenny Lee? Yes.
Oh, I did see a few call themselves Jenny Lee. I also want to mention that Dean Torrance has become a very dear friend of mine. We hang out together on the cruise ships, and he is one wonderful man who not only was a great writer and singer, but actually produced and made the covers of many albums from many rock groups, including the Union Gap and other people like that, the Buckingham's, others.
Well, before Jan and Dean were a hit-making duo, they were Jan and Arnie. Arnie Ginsberg. In 1958, Jan and Arnie had a top 10 hit that Derry doesn't remember. Jenny Lee can now sell for $75. Jenny Lee was a real girl, not the old fiend one next door, but a rather popular local stripper. In 1960, Dot Records released the EP, Jan and Arnie, containing their hit Jenny Lee, plus their only other charting single, Gas Money. A copy can get you $1,000.
Get out of here.
Yes.
I wonder if my buddy Dean Torrance knows that, because he might have some.
Of course he knows that. Yes. Yeah.
I'll email him and ask him.
Now, let's talk about the big money in doo-wop. There's a lot of money in doo-wop. The Eldorados. Do you remember the Eldorados' only hit?
No, but I remember the name of the Eldorados. I just don't know what the hit would be.
At My Front Door.
Okay.
Which can outsell for $100. The song is also known as Crazy Little Mama Come Knocking at My Front Door.
Well done.
You don't know that? My gosh. Anyway, VJ Records released the album Crazy Little Mama in 1958. A copy of the album with a black label is worth up to $300. But a copy with a maroon label can get you $1,000 today. Little things make a big difference, and they're all explained in my record appraisal guide at moneymusic.com. James Burton played guitar with Elvis and Ricky Nelson. He can first be heard on a rock and roll classic with Dale Hawkins. Do you know what that classic might be?
I do not.
That classic would later become a hit for Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Oh.
Susie Q.
Oh, yes.
Susie Q.
Saw John Fogerty out in Vegas. What a wonderful performer he is, I'll tell you.
Susie Q, a rock and roll classic written and first recorded by Dale Hawkins, an original 45 worth up to $50. Also on guitar was 15-year-old James Burton, who would go on to play with Ricky Nelson and Elvis. Susie Q is included on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 songs that shaped rock and roll.
Really?
Yes.
Made the top 500? That's incredible.
The album, Oh, Susie Q, released on Chess Records, can get you $1,000 today. Now, beware of counterfeits that have a black and white cover. All known counterfeit records are listed and described in our record guide. So if it's a black and white cover, it's a counterfeit. Now, today, before we get to number one, we're going to tell you how you can get free record appraisals from me. Just limit your list to 3 records, please. We want to get as many people on as possible. Just email your list to mightyjohn1971@gmail and put podcast appraisals in the subject line. List the title, the recording artist, and the record company. We really want to hear from you. And if we don't get to respond on the podcast, we will still send you the appraisals absolutely free. Now, do you have something you want me to appraise before I get to Jack from Burlington, Vermont?
I sure do. First of all, I want to mention the sponsor of the show, which also happens to be my show, the Derry Rundlett Show, and the Rundlett and Baldacci Report on all over YouTube. I recommend watching the shows with Gianni Russo and B.B. Buell, who was subject of the movie Almost Famous, and Gianni Russo was the star of the Godfather movie as Carlo and is now known as the Hollywood Godfather. But my record is a record by the man you mentioned earlier, and that would be Dwayne Eddy and the Rebels. The hit song on there was Because They're Young, and one of the producers was Lee Hazelwood, who sang with Nancy Sinatra in some wonderful songs, including Jackson. And he produced this record, and the song "The Girl of Death Row" the vocal is by Lee Hazelwood. Mighty John, what is this Dwayne Eddy record worth? Who, by the way, opened for the Everly Brothers at Royal Albert Hall in London in 1991.
Well, that's quite a build-up for the record. Let's check it out. It is, what is Outline Records? This is a reissue, Derry.
Oh, another one.
The original.
I lost with another reissue.
The original would be on Jamie Records.
And so this is what, $3?
Well, I wouldn't give you $3 for it, but
I tell you, folks, I try so hard. I go through my collection. I go, this is going to be big. Dwayne Eddy. Okay.
All right. Now, Jack from Burlington, Vermont wants to know the value of the album I Want Candy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who's the band?
I don't know.
Oh, shoot, the Strange Love.
No, I would have got
You never knew that?
No, no, not even on the tip of my tongue.
Released in 1965. The album now worth up to $70 in mono, $80 in stereo. So not bad, Jack. Benny King sang, besides Stand By Me, what was one of his early hits?
Oh, my God. That one...
There is
Rose in Spanish.
There you go.
Oh, I love that song.
Released in 1961 on Atco Records, the album is worth up to $75 in mono, $100 in stereo. The value of the album, You Really Got Me. You Really Got Me. Who sang that?
Kinks.
Kinks. Very good. I'm glad I'm able to, give you the exact inflection in my voice of the actual
That helped
song.
me. That helps
Yes.
a lot, I'll tell you.
Now, released in 1964 on Reprise Record, the album is up to $100 if the label on the record is pink, gold, and green. If the label is brown, then $50. So, can you name, Derry, a musical instrument that has played such a big part in rock and roll as the guitar, the piano, the drums, and the saxophone?
Piano.
No. And other than the piano.
Oh, I didn't know he meant the flute.
The flute, yeah. Figured you'd come up with the flute. You played that in the band, didn't you?
No, I wasn't good enough.
The harmonica.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
I never would have guessed that. That makes sense, though.
The harmonica has played an important part in blues and rock and roll. Perhaps one of the most influential and important Delta blues artists who made the harmonica such a part of his music was Frank Frost. It was Sonny Boy Williamson who taught Frost the magic of the harmonica. It was Sam Phillips, the man who discovered Elvis, who produced the album Hey, Boss Man by Frank Frost with the Nighthawks. A copy could get you $2,500 today.
Whoa, we're up on the big time. By the way, of course, we remember Ed Sullivan putting on the harmonica cats, where they had the little guys playing that little tiny harmonica.
What's this we remember? I don't remember that.
Well, I do. The harmonica cats used to come on the Ed Sullivan show every few shows.
Okay. Now, remember, you can find the value for all your records at moneymusic.com. And if you email me at mightyjohn1971@gmail.com, we will send you the values for every Elvis, every Beatles record, free, no purchase necessary. Over 2,000 Elvis and Beatle records are on the list. Just state in your email that you heard the podcast and say something nice about Derry, because few people do.
If you can think of it.
Keep sending in your list of records that you want to praise on the podcast. My email address is always posted on the homepage at moneymusic.com.
Go, Mighty John, go!